galaxy had forgotten about humanity. 100 years had passed since Earth stopped talking to the stars. The last message from the blue planet had gone silent a century ago, and no one knew why. The alien races that filled the galaxy had their theories. Some thought a terrible sickness had killed everyone. Others believed humans had destroyed themselves in a giant war. A few whispered that Earth had tried to build something dangerous, and it had gone wrong. Whatever the reason, humanity was gone. The Galactic Council had removed their name from the active species list. Their planets and colonies were given to other races. The universe moved on without them. But the universe was wrong. Commander Jack Morrison stood on the control deck of a ship called the Valiant. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes burned with determination. He had spent most of his life working toward this single moment. Next to him stood Lieutenant Sophie Grant, a younger woman with quick hands that moved across the glowing screens in front of her. "Sir, we are getting close to the old neutral zone," Sophie said, her voice calm even though her heart was racing. "I am picking up lots of ships ahead. Looks like a trading station." Jack nodded slowly. He and his crew had trained for years for this moment, after what humans called the collapse. Earth had been trapped. An experiment meant to protect the planet had created an invisible wall around the entire solar system. Nothing could get in or out. For 100 years, humanity had been locked in their own home, forced to survive alone while the rest of the galaxy forgot about them. But humans were clever. They never gave up. Scientists worked for generations and finally they broke through the barrier. "Take us in slowly," Jack ordered. "Let them see us clearly. Let them know that humans are back." The Valiant came out of its special fast travel into normal space. Right away, dozens of alien ships scattered in all directions like frightened fish. The trading station, a huge ring floating in space, immediately went into emergency lockdown mode. On the station, an alien named Ambassador Krill watched his screens with disbelief. He was a Xanthari, a race with 4 eyes and long tentacles instead of arms. All 4 of his eyes went wide as he stared at the human ship hanging in space. The ship had clear markings that showed it came from Earth. "This cannot be real," Krill whispered to himself. "They are extinct. They have been dead for 100 years. His assistant, a younger Xanthari named Voss, was shaking. "Sir, they are trying to talk to us." Krill's tentacles trembled. He had studied the old records about humans. Even before they disappeared, other races had been nervous about them. Humans were dangerous. They were aggressive and unpredictable. They thought of solutions to problems in ways that made other species uncomfortable. He opened the communication channel with shaking tentacles. Jack's face appeared on the screen. He smiled, but it was not exactly a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew they held all the cards in the game. "This is Commander Jack Morrison of the Earthship Valiant," he said in a clear, strong voice. "It seems we have been gone for a while. We would like to come back and join the galactic community again." Krill could not speak for a moment. He just stared at the human on his screen. "We thought you were all dead," Krill finally managed to say. Jack's smile grew slightly. "We got better. Now can we dock at your station and talk about trade?" Within hours, messages were flying across the galaxy at faster than light speed. Every alien race was talking about the same thing. Humanity was back. The species everyone thought was extinct had returned from the void. The news caused panic in some places and curiosity in others. The powerful Krillian Empire, which had grown strong during humanity's absence, called for emergency meetings. Smaller races wondered what this would mean for the balance of power. Pirates and criminals who had taken over old human territory suddenly felt nervous. On the trading station, Krill reluctantly allowed a small group from the Valiant to come aboard. Jack led the team himself, along with Sophie and 2 security officers. The aliens at the station stared as the humans walked through the corridors. Some moved away quickly. Others whispered to each other in their strange languages. A few brave merchants approached, eager to see what the returned species might want to trade. Jack noticed everything but said nothing. He was studying them just as much as they were studying him. In Krill's office, the Xanthari ambassador served a traditional welcome drink. His tentacles still shook slightly. "Commander Morrison," Krill began carefully, "I must ask the question everyone wants to know. Where have you been? What happened to Earth?" Jack took a sip of the drink and nodded in approval before answering. "We had an accident. A defense system we were building malfunctioned. It created a barrier around our solar system that we could not break through. We were trapped inside for a century, but you survived," Krill said, amazed. "Alone, cut off from all galactic trade and resources." "We are good at surviving," Jack replied simply. "We had no choice. We used the time to rebuild, to advance, to prepare for the day we could return." Krill felt a chill run through his body. Something in the way Jack said those words made him nervous. Prepare for what? Jack's expression became serious. To take back what is ours. We understand the galaxy has changed, but Earth never gave up its claims to our colonies and territories. We expect to discuss the return of our worlds. That may be difficult, Krill said slowly. Many of your old colonies are now inhabited by other species. The Council redistributed those systems decades ago. They believed humanity was gone forever. Then the Council made a mistake, Jack said, his voice hard as steel. We are here to correct it. Sophie stepped forward and placed a small device on Krill's desk. This contains our formal request to rejoin the Galactic Council and our territorial claims. We hope this can be resolved peacefully through negotiation. Krill looked at the device like it might explode. And if the Council refuses? Jack stood up, signaling the meeting was over. Then we will have a problem. But I prefer to think positively. Surely the Council will do the right thing. After the humans left, Krill sat alone in his office for a long time. He pulled up the old files about humanity, reading reports from before the collapse. The reports all said the same things. Humans were dangerous when threatened. They did not back down from fights. They found creative solutions that other races never considered, and that was from 100 years ago. What had they become during their isolation? Krill sent his report to the Galactic Council with a simple recommendation attached. 3 words that he knew would cause chaos. Take them seriously. Across the galaxy, the Council received similar messages from every station and outpost where humans had appeared. The species that had thought themselves safe and secure in their power suddenly realized that the game had changed. Humanity was back and they were not asking permission. They were announcing their return. The silent century was over. The news spread faster than anyone expected. Within 3 days, every major species in the galaxy knew that humanity had returned. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. The Galactic Council, which governed relations between the 200 different alien races, called an emergency meeting. The Grand Hall on Sanctuary Prime was filled with representatives from across the stars. The building was enormous, designed to hold thousands of beings of all shapes and sizes. At the center stood High Chancellor Vorath, a member of the Krillian species. He was tall, covered in silver scales, and had a voice that could fill the entire chamber without electronic help. We face a situation we have never seen before, Vorath announced, his voice booming. A species we all believed was dead has come back. We must decide what to do about it. In the back of the hall stood Ambassador Lisa Chen, one of the first humans to enter the council chambers in a century. She was a sharp woman in her 40s with intelligent eyes that missed nothing. 2 human Marines stood with her. Sergeant Kyle Brooks was on her left, a solid man with broad shoulders. Corporal Amy Walsh stood on her right, smaller but alert and ready for anything. They wore their dress uniforms, but the weapons on their belts were real and loaded. They do not trust us, Amy whispered quietly. Can you blame them? Kyle whispered back. We vanished for 100 years. To them, we are like ghosts coming back from the dead. Lisa stepped forward when Vorath gestured for her to speak. The entire chamber fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes in all different colors and numbers focused on her. Honorable members of the council, Lisa began, speaking clearly and calmly. Humanity wants only to return to our rightful place among the stars. We have no desire for conflict with anyone here. We simply want to trade, to explore, and to help build a better galactic community. A reptilian creature named Scar, representing the Draknor species, hissed loudly. What about the border worlds? What about the systems that humanity claimed before you disappeared? Do you expect us to just give them back? Lisa's expression became harder. We expect fairness. Those systems belong to us. We never gave up our rights to them. You gave up everything when you vanished. Forath interrupted, his voice angry. The Council gave those resources to species that needed them. The galaxy did not stop and wait because Earth went quiet. The chamber exploded into arguments. Species that had taken over old human territories shouted that they had legal rights. Others, who had suffered under Krillian expansion during humanity's absence, saw the humans as potential allies who could balance the power. Lisa raised her hand, asking for silence. It took a few moments, but eventually the hall quieted down. We understand that the galaxy has changed, Lisa said firmly, but you must understand that we have changed too. The 100 years we spent alone were not wasted. We advanced our technology. We grew stronger. We prepared for our return. We are not the same humanity you remember from your history books. That statement caused nervous whispers throughout the hall. What did she mean by that? How much had they changed? That night, Lisa met with General Ryan Foster in her private quarters. Ryan was the military commander of Earth's forces in this sector. He was a big man with gray streaking through his dark hair. He had fought in the terrible resource wars that had happened on Earth during the isolation years, and it showed in his hard eyes. They are going to test us, Ryan said as he poured drinks for both of them. The Council will not just let us walk back in and take what we want. I know, Lisa agreed, taking her glass. The question is how far they will push before they realize we are serious. They did not have to wait long for the answer. 3 days later, a human mining colony called New Hope came under attack. The colony was small, just a few hundred people on a remote planet mining valuable minerals. 6 Krillian warships appeared in orbit and demanded that all the colonists leave immediately. The message reached Commander Jack Morrison on the Valiant within the hour. Sir, New Hope is being attacked, Sophie reported, her face pale with worry. The people there are civilians, mining families with children. Jack's jaw tightened. His hands gripped the armrests of his command chair. How long until we can reach them? 18 hours if we push the quantum drive to maximum. Make it 12 hours. And send a signal to the Roosevelt and the Liberty. Tell them to meet us there. Sophie hesitated. Sir, if we do this, it could start a war. Jack looked at her with eyes as hard as diamonds. Then let the war start. We did not fight our way back to the stars just to be bullied and pushed around. Humanity is done running away. We are done being afraid. He stood up and activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the commander. We have colonists under attack. Human families are in danger. We are going to help them. And we are going to show these aliens what it means to threaten Earth's people. Battle stations. This is not a drill. Throughout the ship, alarms began to sound. Crew members ran to their positions. Weapons systems powered up. The Valiant changed course, its powerful engines pushing it faster than it had ever gone before. On New Hope, the colony leader Greg Matthews stood in the command center watching the Krillian ships in orbit. His daughter Emma stood next to him, holding his hand tightly. She was only 12 years old and terrified. Dad, what are we going to do? Emma asked, her voice shaking. I sent a distress call to Earth Fleet, Greg said, trying to sound confident. Help is coming, but will they get here in time? Emma asked. Greg did not have an answer for that. The Krillian ships had given them 6 hours to evacuate. They had already used 2 of those hours. If help did not arrive soon, they would have to leave their homes, their equipment, everything they had built. On the lead Krillian warship, Commander Thrax sat in his command chair feeling very pleased with himself. This was an easy mission. The human colony had no defenses. They would leave, and the Krillian Empire would claim another resource-rich world. Sir, we are detecting quantum signatures, his sensor officer reported. 3 ships approaching fast, Thrax leaned forward. Identify them. The officer worked his controls for a moment, then his face showed confusion. Sir, they are human vessels. Military class. They will be here in 10 minutes. Thrax felt the first touch of worry. Only 3 ships? Against 6 Krillian warships? Either they are very brave or very stupid. Prepare for combat. Let us teach these humans a lesson about challenging the Krillian Empire. But as the 3 human ships dropped out of quantum space and into normal reality around New Hope, Thrax began to realize that maybe he had made a terrible mistake. The Valiant, the Roosevelt, and the Liberty formed a perfect triangle around the colony. Their weapon systems lit up with power signatures that made Thrax's sensor officer gasp in shock. "Sir, their power output is impossible. Our database says human ships cannot generate that much energy." Thrax stared at the tactical display. 100 years, he whispered. "What did they do in 100 years? Jack Morrison's face appeared on every screen in the Krillian fleet. "Krillian vessels, this is Commander Morrison of the Valiant. You will leave this system immediately. These people are under Earth's protection." Thrax forced himself to sound confident. "This system was legally transferred to Krillian control 40 years ago. You have no authority here, human." Jack's expression did not change. "Wrong answer," he said simply, and the transmission ended. What happened next would be talked about in military academies across the galaxy for years to come. Jack gave a simple nod to Sophie. "Fire a warning shot across their lead ship. Show them what a century of human engineering looks like." The Valiant's main railgun charged with a sound that vibrated through the entire ship. The weapon used powerful magnets to throw projectiles at nearly the speed of light. The shot screamed across space, passing so close to Commander Thrax's ship that every alarm on his bridge started blaring at once. Before Thrax could even give an order, 2 more shots from the Roosevelt and the Liberty bracketed the other Krillian warships with perfect accuracy. "Their targeting is impossible," the Krillian sensor officer said, his voice filled with shock. "At this distance, firing at that speed, the calculations alone should take several minutes. They did it in seconds." Thrax felt cold fear creeping into his chest. The humans had not just survived their century alone. They had leapfrogged ahead of everything the galaxy knew about weapons technology. Down on New Hope, Greg Matthews and Emma watched through the colony's observation dome. The space battle was happening right above their heads. "Dad, are they going to fight?" Emma asked, squeezing his hand even tighter. "I do not know, sweetheart," Greg replied honestly, "but those ships up there came to protect us. That means something important." On the Valiant's bridge, Sophie checked her displays. "Sir, the Krillian vessels are charging their weapons." "Then we remove their toys," Jack said calmly. "Target their weapon systems. Precision strikes only. Disable them, but do not destroy the ships. I want them alive to tell the story." What happened next was a masterpiece of military precision that shocked everyone watching. The 3 human ships fired in perfect coordination. Their shots were so accurate that they removed weapon emplacements from the Krillian warships without even scratching their hulls or hurting anyone inside. In less than 90 seconds, 6 Krillian warships were completely helpless. Their weapons were gone. Their shields were down. They floated in space like wounded animals. Thrax stared at his darkened control panels in complete disbelief. His proud warships had been defeated without firing a single shot in return. "Get us out of here," he ordered quietly, his voice full of shame. "Retreat, now." The Krillian vessels limped away into quantum space, running from a battle they had lost before it even started. Jack opened a communication channel to the colony below. "New Hope, this is Commander Morrison. You are safe now. We are leaving a patrol ship here until this situation gets resolved through proper diplomatic channels." Greg's voice came back, thick with emotion. He was trying not to cry. "Thank you, Commander. We thought we were alone out here. We thought no one would come." "Never think that," Jack replied firmly. "Not anymore. Humanity protects its own. Always." News of the battle reached the Galactic Council within hours. The effect was like dropping a bomb into a calm pond. Some species immediately called for economic sanctions against humanity. They said Earth was too aggressive and dangerous. Others quietly started reviewing their own military capabilities, realizing they might not be as strong as they thought. High Chancellor Vorath called another emergency session, but this time his attitude was completely different. The arrogance was gone. Now he spoke carefully, like someone walking through a minefield. "It appears," he said to the assembled council, "that we have badly underestimated Earth's technological advancement. Perhaps we should discuss a new arrangement with them." Ambassador Lisa Chen stood before the council again. She could feel the change in the room. They were afraid now, but she did not want fear. She wanted respect. "We do not want war," Lisa said clearly. "We never wanted war. But we will not be bullied or pushed around. We propose a compromise. Let us create a joint commission to review all territorial claims fairly. We can have neutral species help make the decisions. Everyone gets a fair hearing," the council members whispered among themselves. It was more than they expected humans to offer, but less than they wanted to take. Vorith nodded slowly. The council will consider your proposal seriously. We will give you an answer within 10 days. As Lisa left the chamber with Kyle and Amy walking beside her, Kyle spoke quietly. Do you think they will accept the deal? They do not have much choice, Lisa replied with a small smile. Not unless they want to find out what other surprises we developed during our isolation. And I do not think they want to know. While the council debated, humanity was busy doing other things. In the deep asteroid fields of space, Lieutenant Commander Nicole Price was overseeing a secret project that would give Earth a huge advantage. How many are operational now? She asked her chief engineer, an older man named Dan Cooper who had been building things for 40 years. 47 stealth satellites are fully online and working, Dan reported, looking at his tablet. Another 100 will be ready to deploy within the week. When the network is complete, we will have real-time intelligence across 6 whole sectors of space. Nicole studied the holographic map floating in front of her. The satellites were incredible pieces of technology. They used quantum physics for instant communication and had special camouflage that made them invisible to normal sensors. No one would even know they were there. The council thinks the Valiant was impressive, Nicole said with a quiet laugh. They have no idea what else we have been building. Far away on a trade station called Meridian, a different kind of conflict was brewing. Human traders had started showing up at the markets, selling goods and technology that confused the alien merchants. Captain Beth Turner ran a small trading ship called the Wanderer. She used to be a Navy officer but had switched to business after the barrier fell, seeing opportunities in the newly opened galaxy. Today she was negotiating with a Threxian merchant named Quill, a bug-like alien with long antennae. This metal alloy you are selling, Quill said, examining a sample carefully. It is lighter than titanium but stronger than anything we have. How is this possible? Beth shrugged like it was nothing special. We had a lot of time to improve our metallurgy and material science. Interested in buying some? Quill's antennae twitched with excitement. Very interested. But I must ask, why share this technology? Why not keep such advantages to yourself? Because being alone almost killed us, Beth answered honestly. We learned that being part of a community, even a complicated one, is better than being isolated. We are willing to share our knowledge, but we remember who our friends are and who our enemies are. Their conversation was suddenly interrupted by a loud explosion outside the station. Beth and Quill rushed to the nearest window to see a human cargo ship under attack by Draknor pirates. 3 pirate ships were firing on the defenseless freighter. The station security will not help, Quill said sadly. Draknor ships are technically allowed to operate here. The station cannot interfere. Beth's eyes narrowed with anger. Then they are about to learn something important about human culture. She activated her communication device. All human vessels in the Meridian sector. This is Captain Turner of the Wanderer. We have people under attack by pirates. Time to show these aliens what human solidarity means. Within just a few minutes, 17 human ships of all different types converged on the pirate vessels. They were not military ships, just normal traders and explorers and private vessels. But they moved together with coordination that showed they all shared the same values and purpose. The Draknor pirates suddenly found themselves completely surrounded. Their leader, a scarred warrior named Rax, snarled into his communicator. You dare threaten us? We are Draknor warriors. We fear nothing in this galaxy. Beth's reply was calm and cold as ice. Then you are fools. Power down your weapons and surrender, or we will disable your ships. You have 10 seconds to decide. Rax made the fatal mistake of opening fire first. The human vessels responded with overwhelming force. They did not kill the pirates, but they systematically tore apart the pirate ship's engines, weapons, and control systems. In less than 5 minutes, the 3 Draknor vessels were just floating junk, powerless and helpless. Station security finally showed up, their commander looking embarrassed and ashamed. Captain Turner, we apologize for the delay in responding. Save your apologies, Beth said firmly. Just make sure these pirates understand that attacking humans has serious consequences. Word of the incident spread through the trading networks faster than light. Human vessels started receiving better treatment at stations across the galaxy. Pirates began avoiding any ship with Earth markings. And most importantly, other species started seeing humanity not as a threat to fear, but as potential allies to respect. Back on Earth, in the rebuilt capital city of New Washington, President Claire Martinez sat in a meeting room with her most trusted advisors. The room held some of the smartest people humanity had produced. Among them was Dr. Matt Rivera, the chief scientist who had led the breakthrough that finally broke the barrier around Earth. "Madam President," Matt began, pulling up charts and data on the wall screens. "The Galactic Council is stalling on the territorial negotiations. High Chancellor Vorath is playing games, trying to build a coalition of species against us." Claire was a woman in her 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes that had seen many difficult times. She nodded slowly. "I expected this. What options do we have?" General Ryan Foster leaned forward in his chair. "We could make a show of force. Deploy our entire fleet to all the disputed systems at the same time. Make it crystal clear that we are not backing down. That could trigger the exact war we are trying to avoid," Ambassador Lisa Chen argued. She was joining the meeting through a holographic projection from Sanctuary Prime. "We need to be smarter than that. We need to think strategically." Matt cleared his throat. "What if we demonstrate something they cannot possibly ignore? Not a weapon, but a capability. Something that shows them we are not just back to where we were. Something that proves we are ahead of them now." "What do you have in mind?" Claire asked, turning to face him. Matt smiled like a man holding the best hand in a card game. "The Gateway Project is ready for its first full test." The room fell completely silent. Everyone knew about the Gateway Project. It was humanity's most ambitious technological achievement, something that could change space travel for every species in the galaxy, if it actually worked. Claire thought carefully for a long moment. "If we reveal that technology now, we lose our biggest advantage. Or we gain 1,000 new allies," Lisa countered from her hologram. "Imagine if we offered to share it, but for a price. Not money, but cooperation, recognition of our rights, respect for our sovereignty, a real seat at the table." Claire looked around at each face in the room. She saw determination and confidence. "Very well. Matt, prepare for a full public demonstration. Lisa, coordinate with the council. Let us show them what humanity can really do when we put our minds to something." 3 weeks later, representatives from every major species in the galaxy gathered in the outer edges of the Sol system. The demonstration zone was chosen carefully, far from any inhabited planets but close enough to Earth to send a clear message. This was humanity's home, and humanity was in control here. Ambassador Lisa Chen stood on the observation deck of a newly built station called Unity 1. Beside her stood High Chancellor Vorath, who had come personally to witness whatever the humans had planned. He tried to hide his curiosity, but Lisa could see it clearly. "What exactly are we about to see, Ambassador?" Vorath asked, trying to sound casual. Lisa smiled mysteriously. "The future, Chancellor. The future for all of us." In space, the Gateway Array began to activate. 100 human vessels, both military and civilian, formed a perfect sphere around an empty point in space. At the center of the sphere, a massive ring structure started glowing with cascading waves of blue and white energy. Dr. Matt Rivera coordinated everything from the command ship called the Horizon. "All stations report ready status. Beginning quantum field alignment now." Admiral Jack Morrison, recently promoted after his success at New Hope, commanded the overall operation. "Sophie, what is our status?" Lieutenant Sophie Grant, now his executive officer, checked her instruments carefully. "Field stability is at 97% and climbing. All safety protocols are showing green lights. We are good to proceed." "Do it," Jack ordered firmly. The ring exploded with light so bright that some of the alien observers had to shield their eyes. Space itself seemed to tear open like fabric being ripped apart. A shimmering portal formed, a stable wormhole connecting 2 points in space across hundreds of light years instantly. The alien observers made sounds of shock and amazement in their various languages. Some gasped. Some screamed. Some simply froze in disbelief. Wormhole theory was known to galactic science. Every species had studied it. But no one had ever successfully created a stable, safe, traversable gateway. The energy requirements alone were thought to be absolutely impossible to achieve. Through the portal, visible as clearly as looking through a window, appeared the distant Andromeda relay station. A journey that normally took 6 months had been accomplished in 0 time. "By the ancient stars," Vorath whispered, his scales turning pale with shock. Matt's voice broadcast to all the observing ships. "What you are witnessing is a stable Einstein-Rosen bridge. powered by contained singularity reactors and maintained through quantum field manipulation. With this technology, any 2 points in the galaxy can be connected instantly. Travel time becomes meaningless. Trade routes are completely revolutionized. Emergency response becomes instantaneous instead of taking weeks or months. A Threxian scientist screamed from his observation ship, "The energy requirements should be astronomical." "Impossible. How are you powering such a thing?" "We learned to harness and contain miniature black holes," Matt replied calmly. "Safely and efficiently. 100 years of focused research led to this achievement." Admiral Jack Morrison added his voice to the broadcast. "And here is the most important part, Council members. We are willing to share this technology with the galaxy, not for free but as part of a fair agreement. We will help build a network of gateways throughout known space. In return, we want our territorial claims recognized, our sovereignty respected, and full voting participation in the Galactic Council as equal members." The transmission ended, leaving the alien observers in stunned silence. Ships floated quietly in space, their crews too shocked to even speak. Vorath slowly turned to Lisa. His expression was completely different now. The superiority was gone. "You have been holding this technology back. You could have used it as a weapon. You could have threatened us with it." "We could have," Lisa agreed calmly. "But that is not who we are anymore. We learned something important during our isolation, Chancellor. We learned that strength without purpose is meaningless. We are powerful enough now that we do not need to prove it through destruction. We came back to build, not to destroy. We came back to contribute, not to dominate." Over the following days and weeks, the political situation shifted dramatically. Species that had strongly opposed humanity's return began quietly changing their positions. The economic benefits of the Gateway Network were simply too massive to ignore. A trip that took 6 months could now take seconds. Trade that was impossible because of distance could now happen easily. More than that, humanity's willingness to share the technology instead of hoarding it earned genuine respect across the galaxy. This was not the action of a species seeking conquest. This was the action of a species seeking partnership. The Draknor Confederacy, despite their earlier hostility and pirate problems, approached Earth quietly through back channels. Their ambassador was a female warrior named Kira, respected among her people for her wisdom as much as her strength. She met with Lisa in a private room, away from the public sessions. "My people respect strength above all things," Kira said bluntly. "You have proven yours beyond any doubt. We would like to discuss the possibility of an alliance." Similar conversations were happening across the diplomatic spectrum. Species that had been neutral started leaning towards supporting human proposals. Species that had been hostile started looking for ways to make peace. Within 2 months of the Gateway demonstration, the Galactic Council formally voted to reinstate humanity as a full member with all rights and privileges. All previous territorial claims were recognized, with only minor border adjustments to be negotiated peacefully. President Claire Martinez stood before the cameras in New Washington, addressing not just Earth but the entire galaxy. The speech was being broadcast to every human colony and translated into 200 alien languages across known space. "My fellow humans, and our new galactic friends," Claire began, her voice strong and clear. "Today marks not just our return to the galactic community, but our emergence as leaders in shaping its future. The century of isolation was painful. It tested us in ways we never imagined, but it also forged us into something stronger, something better. We face the future now not with fear, but with confidence and hope. The stars are ours again, and this time, we will make sure everyone benefits from what we build together." Across human space, people watched and cheered. In cities on Earth, in colonies on distant worlds, in ships traveling between the stars, humans celebrated. They had survived the impossible and come back stronger. On the bridge of the Valiant, Admiral Jack Morrison stood with Sophie, looking out at the construction of the first permanent gateway near Earth orbit. Hundreds of ships, both human and alien, worked together on the massive project. 100 years ago, we were alone and afraid, Sophie said softly, watching a Xanthari construction ship work alongside a human vessel. Look at us now. Jack nodded, a rare smile on his weathered face. We did not just survive. We thrived, we grew, and now we are going to help the rest of the galaxy do the same thing. That is the real victory. The Gateway network began expanding rapidly. Human engineers worked with alien counterparts, sharing knowledge and learning from each other. The first commercial gateway opened between Earth and the major trade hub at Meridian Station. What had been a 6-month journey now took 30 seconds. The economic impact was immediate and massive. Trade exploded. Species that had never been able to do business together because of distance were suddenly neighbors. Resources that had been unreachable were now accessible. The entire galactic economy transformed almost overnight. Captain Beth Turner's small trading company grew into one of the largest in the sector. She hired crews from a dozen different species, creating a truly multicultural business. Her ships carried goods between worlds that had never even known each other existed before the gateways. The barrier that trapped us turned out to be a gift, Beth told a reporter during an interview. It forced us to focus inward, to perfect our technology and our society. When we came back, we were not just ready to compete. We were ready to lead. On the mining colony of New Hope, the population had tripled in just 6 months. The small settlement that had almost been destroyed by the Krillian attack was now becoming a major hub. Humans and aliens lived and worked together, building something new. Greg Matthews stood with his daughter Emma, watching as the colony's new gateway station was activated. Ships from a dozen different species came through, bringing trade goods, new colonists, and opportunities. "Dad," Emma asked, watching a Threxian family walk past, "do you think the other species will ever really trust us completely?" Greg put his arm around her shoulders. "Trust is something you earn over time, sweetheart. But we have made a good start. We came back strong, but we chose to cooperate instead of conquer. We chose to share instead of hoard. That says something important about who we are as a species." The Galactic Council had changed too. The old power structures were shifting. The Krillian Empire, which had dominated during humanity's absence, found itself sharing influence with Earth. But it was not a hostile relationship. High Chancellor Vorath, after his initial resistance, had become one of humanity's strongest supporters. He met privately with Ambassador Lisa Chen one evening in the Council Gardens, a beautiful place filled with plants from 1,000 worlds. "I must admit something to you," Vorath said as they walked together. "When you first returned, I saw you as a threat to everything we had built." "I was wrong," Lisa smiled. "You were protecting your people's interests." "I understand that, but I am glad you came to see us as partners instead of enemies. The gateway technology alone has increased galactic productivity by 40% in just 6 months, Vorath said, shaking his head in amazement. "And your scientists are already talking about the next generation of improvements." "What else are you hiding, Ambassador?" Lisa laughed. "Nothing that would threaten you. We learned our lesson about isolation. We are all in this together now. Not everything was peaceful, of course. There were still pirates to fight, disputes to resolve, and challenges to overcome. But humanity faced these problems alongside their new allies, working together to build a safer, more prosperous galaxy. The military fleet that had started with just the Valiant had grown to over 200 vessels. But these ships spent most of their time on joint patrols with alien forces, hunting pirates and protecting trade routes. Admiral Jack Morrison commanded the combined fleet, with officers from 15 different species serving under him. "It is strange," Jack told Sophie one day, "how fighting together creates bonds faster than anything else. These aliens who were enemies 6 months ago are now my most trusted officers." Dr. Matt Rivera and his team continued pushing the boundaries of science. The Gateway Project had been just the beginning. They were working on new technologies that would make travel even faster, energy even cheaper, and life even better for everyone in the galaxy. The barrier was a mistake that became a blessing, Matt explained in a lecture at the new Galactic Science Academy. It forced humanity into a period of intense focus and innovation. We had no choice but to advance or die. We chose to advance, and now everyone benefits from what we learned. On Earth itself, cities were being rebuilt with a new vision. The old divisions between nations had faded during the isolation. Humanity had united out of necessity and stayed united by choice. The planet was cleaner, more efficient, more beautiful than it had been in centuries. Children growing up now would never know a universe where humanity was isolated or weak. They would grow up in a galaxy where humans were leaders, innovators, and friends to hundreds of alien species. Emma Matthews, now studying to become an engineer, wrote in her journal one night about her dreams for the future. "My dad's generation survived the collapse. My generation will build the future. We will create things that previous generations could not even imagine." We will explore galaxies beyond this one. We will solve problems that seem impossible today, because that is what humans do. We survive, we adapt, we overcome, and we never ever give up. The galaxy had thought humanity was gone forever, lost to whatever disaster had silenced Earth. They had been so wrong. Humanity had not died. They had been preparing, building, advancing, getting ready for a return that would change everything. Now, as human ships traveled through gateways to every corner of known space, as human scientists worked alongside alien researchers, as human traders and diplomats and explorers spread throughout the stars, one thing was absolutely clear: humanity was back. The universe would never be the same again. And this time, they were here to stay, not as conquerors, but as the builders of a new golden age for all species. The age of humanity's second ascension had truly begun.